Hello, welcome once again to Leto's Law. I'm Steve Leto. Yesterday I saw one of my neighbors going down the street and he has a big old truck and he's pulling a fifth wheel with the truck. And then he's pulling a trailer with a personal watercraft attached to his fifth wheel. So there's actually a truck pulling a trailer. And I've had several people ask me, is that legal? Is that legal? And again, I've got to tell you that this is going to depend on what state you are in. Look it up. But some states it's legal, some states it's not legal, and some states it's legal if you are allowed to do it by license, which means that you can't tell necessarily by looking at somebody if what they're doing is legal because you don't know if they're licensed or not, which is a problem for law enforcement. But let me explain to you what's going on here, at least in Michigan. And again, if you look up the phrase trailer pulling a trailer or trailer trailering, that's a couple of ways you can do it, and then the name of your state, you'll find both sites that list these things by state, and then also you'll probably find some very state-specific stuff. So in Michigan, for instance, you will find a flyer online called the Recreational Double R Endorsement, which sounds like a good old Western thingy, like the OK Corral, the double R endorsement. And on the photograph here, they show a truck pulling a trailer, pulling a boat. Got all your bases covered. If they could only drag an airplane behind this, I think we'd be good to go. But under Section 721 of the Michigan Vehicle Code, pickup trucks equipped with a fifth wheel assembly may, with certain restrictions, tow two trailers. This double trailer combination is sometimes called a recreational double. Drivers must pass a knowledge test to receive the recreational double endorsement. The information in this pamphlet will help you prepare for the knowledge test, but there will not be a driving test. So anybody can go in, take this test. Once you get the test, you have the endorsement, you're good to go. A recreational double is a pickup truck pulling a fifth wheel trailer designed for recreational living purposes with a second trailer attached to the rear of the fifth wheel trailer. The pickup truck must have a towing rating equal to or greater than the weight being towed. Number one. Licensing requirements. To operate a recreational double, drivers must have an R endorsement on their license. Anyone age 18 or older may apply for the endorsement at a Secretary of State office. So the obvious first exclusion here is people under 18 can't do this because they can't get the licensure. Applicants must pass a test designed to sample the knowledge needed to operate vehicle combinations of this type. There's a $10 fee for the endorsement. A skills test is not required. I only laugh because and I know, skills tests ought to be required. The total length of the three units, the pickup, the fifth wheel, and the second trailer, when coupled together must not exceed 75 feet. The gross weight of the second trailer cannot exceed the empty weight of the pickup truck or the empty weight of the fifth wheel trailer. It's like a math test. The hitch used to tow the second trailer must be attached to the frame of the fifth wheel trailer. Safety chains for the second trailer must be securely attached at the extreme outer edge of the fifth wheel trailer with a locking mechanism. A trailer cannot drift more than 3 inches to either side of the path of the towing vehicle when the combination is being drawn in a straight line on a level, smooth, paved surface. That, of course, is a hypothetical situation like saying we're going to raise chickens in a vacuum. Because in Michigan, there's no such thing as a straight, level, smooth, paved surface. We don't have them here. Michigan has among the worst roads in the nation, possibly the worst. Before hooking up the fifth wheel trailer, take time to check the following: tires, brakes, battery, lights, engine belts, hoses, other equipment on the pickup truck. After the trailer is hooked up, check to see that the fifth wheel locking jaws have closed around the shank of the trailer kingpin. Trailer's electric brakes are hooked up and working properly. And be sure the load on the trailer is properly distributed. As a general rule, 60% of the load should be toward the front and 40% should be toward the rear. Too much weight in the rear can cause the trailer to sway. I've seen that happen before. I was years ago on a bike trip, bicycling along on a 10-speed bicycle. Pulled over to the side of the road, talked to my friends, one of them who had an issue, and all of a sudden we heard a noise. We look, and there's a car coming with a trailer whipping back and forth behind it, and the driver of the vehicle didn't figure out soon enough what to do, and hilarity ensued, but not on our part. We just got to watch. On the highway, be cautious because a recreational double is so large, extra effort is needed to manage the space around the vehicle. Allow additional following distance between you and the vehicle ahead. Try planning 12 to 15 seconds worth of travel time. To estimate the distance, choose a fixed object near the road and count 1,000, 1,002, 1,003. Doing so will give you time to slow down gradually. Sudden stops in a recreational double are very difficult and dangerous. Think of it as an aircraft carrier. You have to plan way in advance, okay? You're not going to be doing any sudden stops if you are doing this thing right. Under ideal conditions, it can be almost 4 times as difficult to stop at 40 miles per hour as it is at 20. So it's almost like a exponential thing. In fact, it is an exponential thing according to that. Manage the space beside your vehicle by staying in the center of your lane. Whenever possible, avoid driving next to other vehicles, although if you have a 75-foot monstrosity, that might be difficult. Other drivers may not realize that you need additional space and may suddenly change lanes or drive too close. And quite frankly, other drivers will also be a problem. Be sure you have room to safely enter the flow of traffic or cross a roadway. Yet don't run a yellow light if you can avoid it. A recreational double requires much more space than a car or pickup truck. Which makes sense because since the front end of this is a pickup truck, by definition, a pickup truck towing 2 things takes up more space than a pickup truck. That is restating the obvious in the pamphlet. To keep track of vehicles behind you, check your mirrors often. Always turn your head to check for vehicles in your blind spots, which is a point of contention. When I mention blind spots on my videos, I've had people say, Steve, there's no such thing as a blind spot if you have your mirrors set correctly. And I always say things like, well, I tend to agree, except that your mirrors set correctly, there might still be issues with somebody who, for instance, is in your blind spot, but off to the side, driving a very small vehicle or a motorcycle. And so despite the fact that I am convinced I can see all my blind spots, I still will occasionally turn my head and look. Maybe it's an old habit. Maybe it's extraneous. The point is I do it. And I've been in very, very few collisions in my life. In fact, all of the ones I've been in were other people rear-ending me. Those are hard to avoid. Use extra care when approaching a curve. Take a curve too fast can cause tires to lose traction, resulting in a dangerous skid. To maintain the best control on a curve, you should slow to a safe speed before entering the curve and then accelerate slightly through it. Turning corners with a recreational double, especially to the right, can be a challenge. However, a little practice and forethought can make the job easier and safer. When a vehicle goes around a corner, the rear wheels follow a different path than the front wheels. This is called off-tracking. The rear wheels of the pickup truck will off-track slightly. The rear wheels of the fifth wheel trailer will off-track even more. And the rear wheels of the second trailer will off-track the most. And you've seen that when you watch tracks in the snow of a car going around a corner. You see that the tires may be in the same track when they're going straight, but the moment they turn, they're suddenly on different tracks. And so if you have a third vehicle behind a second vehicle, it's just going to get more and more so as you go around the curve. To compensate for off-tracking, steer the front end of the pickup truck wide enough around the corner so the wheels of the second trailer do not go over the curb. Do not cross over into lanes of oncoming traffic, though, as you turn. When turning, keep the rear of your last trailer as close as possible to the curb to prevent others from passing you on the right. Continually check your mirrors to make sure that your vehicles and trailers are clear throughout the turn to avoid hitting anything. You should finish your turn in the correct lane. I worked at a store in Royal Oak in the 1980s, and right across the street from us was another store. And one day somebody shouted out there's something going on across the street. So me and a few coworkers ran out there to see what was going on. And a guy in a big old semi, big rig, was about to make a right-hand turn, and he'd gone wide because the street there's kind of narrow. I'm talking about 4th and Main in Royal Oak. And the man was driving south, and he's going to head west on 4th. And he swung kind of wide, and I can picture it to this day, somebody in a VW Beetle, the old style Volkswagen, decided to cut to the right of this truck that appeared to be pulling kind of wide to the left. And of course, the truck was pulling wide because they were going to make a right-hand turn and didn't want to run over the curb. And the person in the VW Beetle just kind of snuck in there, and they snuck in such a way that when the big rig went over the Beetle, the rear wheels got about halfway up and crushed in the roof of the car. and destroyed the car. It stuck the truck where it was, blocked the intersection for a while. And I seem to recall that the driver of the VW got out and was standing there kind of like, I thought he was going straight because he was going this way, and I just decided to cut this way. And we've all seen the sign in the back of the truck, makes wide right turns. Do not pass here. I'm talking to you. I mean, police showed up and untangled the mess. But yeah, so be aware of the fact that you're not a truck driver generally with big rigs, I would assume. But you might have that same problem. People trying to sneak in on your right, they see you swinging wide at a corner. So be careful of that. Make sure you are at the center of the intersection before you start a left turn. If you turn too soon, the left side of your vehicle may hit another vehicle because of off traffic. If there's more than one left turn lane, always make your turn from the outermost of the two. When driving a recreational double, avoid backing up. You think it's hard to back up with a single trailer? Try backing up with two. Trying to back up two trailers at the same time can be extremely difficult and dangerous, especially on a busy street. Backing up is only recommended when you can safely stop the vehicle and unhook the second trailer before backing, such as when pulling into a campsite or similar location. So that is all you need to know about the recreational double R endorsement in Michigan. You go into the Secretary of State's office, assuming you're 18 or older, you pay $10, take a test, and if you pass the test, you get the endorsement. Once you have that, you can do this legally in Michigan. Other states, you have to look it up. Most states, from what I saw, appear to allow it in some manner or another. It's a question of whether you need a special endorsement or not. And then, of course, the question is whether it's wise or not. If you think you can do it, do it. But, we see a lot of accidents involving RVs and trailers because most people who've got like a boat, for instance, they might bring the boat places often, but not as often as they just drive their vehicle regularly. So what happens is somebody gets their RV out for the first time this year, they hook some stuff up to it and they're driving it, and it's been a few months since they did this last time. And anything that you're out of practice on is something you need to be careful with. So I would advise you to be careful, but I'd also advise you to look up the law and understand what the law is before you do this. And that's the situation with the trailer towing the trailer. Questions or comments, put them below. Otherwise, talk to you later. Bye-bye.